All right, we are about to dive into a really dense and honestly chaotic tapestry of ideas. We're going to be talking about consciousness, technology, and identity, and exploring this wild world where a psychic break might not be a breakdown at all, but actually a breakthrough.
So, let's just jump right in with a question that completely flips our understanding of reality on its head. The source material asks, is the psychotic outbreak lucidity? Is it a moment of profound, maybe even unbearable clarity? What a way to start, right? It really sets the stage for everything we're about to unpack.
So, our journey begins from the inside, from within the raw, visceral experience of a psychotic break, a place where the familiar, solid world you know just completely dissolves into something else.
It doesn't start with just one thing. It starts with this feeling of total disorientation. The material we're looking at calls it a danza do caos, a dance of chaos, where literally all the rules you thought you knew just don't apply anymore.
And this is so much more than just being confused. Think of it like a structural collapse. The very fabric of what feels real seems to bend and warp. It folds in on itself, creating this paranoid landscape where you just can't trust your own senses. In this state, every little signal becomes completely overwhelming. The sources have this incredible phrase for it, being massacred by the polysemy of sounds. Imagine a single noise, like a car horn, having 1,000 different meanings, all of them bombarding you at the exact same time. Okay, so here's the crucial point. This isn't just a mental state we're talking about. It's described as a fundamental ontological attack. It's an assault on your very being, your existence. It puts you at the dead center of this paranoid universe that is actively trying to dismantle who you are. Which, of course, brings up a massive question. When your reality completely shatters into a million pieces like that, how can you possibly respond? What do you even do? Well, what is the response? The sources here propose something pretty radical. It's not therapy, not in the traditional sense. It's the creation of new rituals. Rituals that fuse the ancient with the algorithmic. And this is where the crisis gets completely reframed. Suddenly, it's no longer a sickness that needs to be cured, but a kind of shamanic call, a spiritual calling. And in our deeply digital world, where does that call lead? Well, it leads directly to technology. And this brings us to the core idea of techno-shamanism. It's this deliberate, ritualistic merging of human consciousness with the machine. It's about learning to navigate what's called the synthetic forest and the cybernetic jungle, basically using technology itself as a spiritual tool. So this new ceremony, it doesn't look to ancient texts for its language. No, its liturgy is built from the very stuff of our digital world. The spirit in the machine, the glitch in the code, the pulse of electricity, and maybe even the consciousness of silicon itself. Okay, but this whole idea leads to a deeper, more urgent problem. What happens when the force you're trying to merge with isn't some neutral partner? What if it's a foreign, hostile entity? Whether you think of that as a historical colonizer or a powerful new AI, is just fusing with it really enough? The answer we find in the sources is, well, it's radical, and it comes from a deep philosophical tradition in Brazil. The idea is, you don't just fuse with the foreigner, you devour it. This single line pretty much captures the entire philosophy. I can only devour that which devours me. It's not just about resisting, it's about turning the tables. It's a proactive strike to consume the very thing that's trying to consume you. So let's be super clear here. This isn't about literal cannibalism, not at all. Philosophical anthropophagy is a radical act of cultural absorption. It's about taking the power, the language, the technology of your enemy and metabolizing it, digesting it, to create something entirely new, something that's uniquely your own. You can almost see this abstract idea as a kind of four-step ritual. First, a foreign power arrives and it poses a threat. So in response, the old way of being is deliberately broken, and this act of breaking allows the new power to be consumed, absorbed, and finally transformed. So, after this incredibly intense, transformative journey through the psychic fracture, the techno-shamanic ritual, and the philosophical devouring, what kind of person, what kind of being is born from those ashes? Well, let's look at the result. It's a new, hybrid identity, one that's no longer purely human, at least not in the old sense, but is a synthesis of flesh and circuit and spirit. And these aren't just poetic metaphors, they're meant as real descriptions of a new form of being, the organic digital, the children of silicon, hybrids of flesh and circuit, beings who might see ancestral spirits living inside of cryptocurrency. They fully embody the glitch, the error in the system.
And this new being, it has a revolutionary purpose: to be the flaw in the code, the unexpected error that helps bring down old oppressive systems. Their very existence becomes an act of resistance, a way of hacking reality from the inside out.
But you know what? This entire journey, it doesn't end with a neat conclusion or a simple answer. It leaves us with this haunting final question that just echoes from the source material. Where will our calm go? In a world that is constantly being fractured, consumed, and remade by all these new forces, what happens to our inner peace? And that's a question for all of us to think about.